painting eyes? Ain't nobody got time for that. Since my last video, I've introduced 2 brand new sizes for my eye decals that will make your models look even more stunning without the hassle of painting. Whether it's for 3D printed models or action figures like this McFarlane Superman, it all works. Just slide them on and watch your models come to life with captivating gazes. Say goodbye to eye painting nightmares and hello to effortless perfection. With sizes ranging from 1/12 scale to a whopping half scale, we've got your models covered from mini to massive. No more settling for wonky eyes or scaling misshapes. It's time to make your models look spot on. So hold on to your paintbrushes because I've got an exciting update video just for you. Join me as I unveil the new eye decal sizes in all their glory. Learn how to use them like a pro, and I have some troubleshooting tips and tricks up my sleeve to ensure your eye decal experience is flawless. So buckle up, get your magnifying glasses ready, and let's start. If you're also looking for unbiased opinions, I highly recommend the videos by Just Paint It and VinceVellCustoms. If you order the decals, you will receive a letter with instructions on how to use them, but I will now run you through those steps in more detail. Okay, let's dive into action. The first step is all about preparing your model. How much the decal color will pop in the end also depends on the color of the eyeball. Here you can see different eye colors from top to bottom: Model Air White, Game Color Dead White and Ghost Gray, Model Color Ivory and Game Color Bone White. The decals are printed on a transparent film, so the base color affects the brightness of the iris. Here you can see the difference with quickly applied decals. White on the top really pops. The most natural color in my opinion is the second from the bottom, Ivory. I would also recommend to varnish the head sculpt before you apply the decals to protect your paint in case you need to make some readjustments or you want to apply decal softener. With your model ready to go, it's time to choose the right size. Choosing the right size is a major factor of a realistic looking eye. In this example, you can see the difference of a correctly sized iris at the top, a too small one in the middle, and 2 big ones at the bottom. The iris should make up 50% of the eye for a realistic look. So you can either measure the size of the eye with a caliper and choose half that size for your decal, or you hold the decal sheet next to your model, select the one you think fits and cut that out. Hold them over your piece and readjust if necessary. If you have the right size, it's time to cut out the decals. I prefer using a scalpel and a hole punching tool, but you can also just use a scalpel. When one is looking straight ahead, usually more of the lower part than the upper part of the iris is visible. So cut away more from the upper than the lower side. If you want the person to look sideways, you can cut in a triangular shape. And if you want the person to look shocked or with eyes wide open, you can use the entire iris. After you cut the upper and lower part, cut along the sides with a tiny bit of excess. If it's easier for you, you can also just carve into the decal film without cutting through the carrier paper, and in the water the decal film will separate. Like I said, my preferred process is to take a scalpel for the first 2 cuts and then use a hole punching tool. The hole punching tool ensures a perfectly round cut around the sides of the iris every time. It is a bit tricky to place the hole punching tool correctly though, so if you choose the same size for the tool and for your decal, you can easily cut away a part of the iris. For this example I used the same size, and for the other ones I chose a tool that has 0.5 millimeter more diameter than the actual decal. With the iris being cut out, just drop it into water and wait a minute until it can be slid off the carrier paper. The smaller the decal, the more you will struggle with the water surface tension though. What you can also do, instead of throwing them in water, you can just use a paper towel, make that wet and place your decals there. The bigger the decal, the longer it takes until it slides from the paper. You can test that with a toothpick or a wet brush. But after a minute, all of the sizes should easily slide off the carrier paper and be ready to take their center stage on your model. Et voila, we are at the moment of truth. Grab your wet brush or tweezers and let's gently place those decals on your model. A drop of water on the eyeball will make things even smoother. When the decal is placed properly, you can use your brush to remove the excess water. And now you just need to let those decals dry and set. So ideally wait for a day, but if you are too eager, you can also use a hairdryer to fasten up the process. If you do it with a hairdryer, you can go through the whole process in literally 5 minutes. And now the grand finale, clear coating. Will you go for satin or gloss varnish? The choice is yours. To show you the difference, I paint the upper 2 eyes of each row with satin and the other 3 with gloss varnish. And here I'm also taking a hairdryer to speed up the process. Here is the difference between satin and gloss varnish again, the upper two being satin, the lower three gloss. A middle way between the two is to paint the whole eyeball with satin varnish and then use a drop of gloss only for the iris. And if you crave ultimate depth, I've got a secret weapon for you, clear UV resin. And talking about depth, you could of course also use the decals to create mini glass eyes, like I did in my last video. If you haven't seen that, check that out next. Just put some resin on a piece of cardboard or directly onto the iris if you use a large decal, and take a toothpick or a brush to put a small dot of resin on the iris. But hey, even if you skip the varnish, fear not, those decals won't go anywhere. They'll stick around like sand in your shoes after a day at the beach. This eye tower was sitting around for about 9 months, and you can scratch the decals away with a toothpick, but they won't come off on their own. With the varnished version, you basically can remove the decals without force, which will probably also scratch your paint underneath. And remember, even if you mess up at one of those steps, it's all part of the artistic journey. There's even a learning curve to applying decals. If you received your decals and wondered what the white eyes are for, I'll tell you now. Obviously you can make white eyes, but you can also either color your whole eyeball in a different color and use them on top, or you place them onto your white eyeball and use them as a template to assist you in drawing an iris of any color you want, in case the right color shouldn't be on the sheet already. The decal sheet was chosen in a thickness that makes them easy to use, because they don't fold over and stick together when you grab them. And while they are super sticky when dried, sometimes strong bends in the eyeball can throw things off a bit. But fear not, it's only a minor hiccup, especially if you cut the upper and lower part of the iris, you shouldn't encounter that problem. But if you have an eye where you use the whole iris and you have troubles bending it, you can use the magical potion of Microsol decal solution. It might also work with other decal softeners, I just haven't tried others yet. But if you may already have, let me know in the comments. Just a drop of this enchanting solution onto the decal and it will become softer than a fluffy cloud, ready to adhere to any surface with ease. Just put it on and wait for 1 or 2 minutes, and then the decal will be soft enough to bend perfectly around the surface. You can also directly put the decals into the solution from the start instead of using water, which I did for this comparison. In the left cup I just have water and in the other two the decal solution. After 2 minutes I slide the decals from the carrier paper. You can see that the decal that was laying in the water holds its form when you pick it up with tweezers. You can bend it, but it kinda returns to its original shape. The one that was now laying in decal solution for 3.5 minutes bends downwards when you pick it up, so you can see that it already is softer than the other one. The third one that was now laying in the solution for 5 minutes already starts bending on the edges. So if you put the decal in the solution directly, just remind that at some point the decal will even get too soft. But the decal solution is a great helper for those extra sharp bends. When it comes to cutting the irises out, there are 2 stepping stones. You either didn't cut away enough of the decal, like you can see here on the right side, or you cut away too much, which you can see on the left. For the smaller decals, I recommend to just cut out a new one. There are so many irises on the sheet, failures are counted in. For the larger ones, wait until they are dry for a day, and then you can carefully cut off the overhang. With a toothpick you can scratch away the excess. For a missing spot or damage in the sheet, you can just grab your normal paints and repaint the missing part, and no one will ever know that it wasn't supposed to be this way. And there you have it. Whether you are a model making pro or just starting out, get ready to bring your models to life with vibrant, perfectly placed irises for your eye-catching models, and hop over to my Etsy store to get yourself a sheet or 2. This way you can support me and what I do here, so you'll get a big thank you from my side, and your models will thank you as well.